starting on the eastern end, which is that left-hand side, and that was the family private apartment. The rest of it was just to show off to your guests when they came to visit. Now, it cost about £300,000 to build, and 240,000 of that was given to them by Queen Anne and the Great Formation. But unfortunately, Sarah the First Duchess fell out with Queen Anne and they had to go into exile. And when Queen Anne died, they came back again and had to put £60,000 of their own money into the building of the palace. Now, the Marlboroughs were very close to Queen Anne. They got lots of rewards through that friendship, and they were actually the richest non-royal couple in Europe. So they had the money, but that's partly also because Sarah the First Duchess didn't like to spend money, so she was quite frugal with it as well. So as we're looking at the palace, it is as it was built, so nothing has been added on at any point. It was going to be completely symmetrical, but because of the money issues, at the end, the west courtyard on that side was never finished. So you'll see on that side it stretches out further, and this side it was finished off in wooden buildings and bits and pieces, and never completed completely symmetrically. Now as you look across to the front door ahead of us, it's about a mile from that front door across the bridge up to the Column of Victory in the background there. And if we had the doors in the middle open, it would be a straight line through and you'd be able to see St Martin's Church in Blenheim in the background. So it's all designed to kind of complement each other. Now, with the first Duke, this was built as a commemoration to him, but he actually died before the palace was completely finished, so he never saw it fully. He did live in that eastern wing for 2 summers, and his wife Sarah project managed, and that's why where her frugalness come into action, and she actually argued with pretty much every craftsman over every single build that came into the palace, including John Vanbrugh, who was the architect. Now he, so if you imagine the Lakers are there today, just over where those people are, there was an old ruined manor house. Now John Vanbrugh was he wanted to keep it as a folly, and the First Duchess didn't like that idea. So he was actually using stone from the building and some of the craftsmen to restore the house and was living in it. And as you can imagine, that was her money. He really, really didn't like that idea. So she basically said to him, you know, get off my land, never want to see you again. And even after the palace was completed and John Vanbrugh came back, she wouldn't allow him in to see his creation. And that was quite how she was. If she fell out with you, that was it, you knew about it. So as we're looking back this way towards the lake, between us and the Column of Victory ahead, there's the Grand Bridge, which we will cross over shortly. And if you go back in time, this area was originally royal hunting grounds. So Henry I was here. Henry II had a menagerie of animals in the parkland, and actually his animals were passed on to what became London Zoo later on. So there was also at one point there was a tiger that lived here. I think possibly more near the palace and outside running around the grounds eating the poachers and things, but we have a tiger here as well. Anglo-Saxon remains and different things up there. So there is a history that goes with the parkland before the palace. It's just we tend to overlook.
Well, you mentioned it was a straight line through to St Martin's.
St Martin's, yeah.
St Martin's. Did I read that's where Churchill was buried?
He is, yes. Yes, so he's supposed to be buried in Blenheim because he would be overlooking Blenheim, and also some of his family members are there. So yeah, he could have had the Westminster Abbey big thing, and he didn't want that. He wanted a local small area to empty his family. He came from the side across a small causeway that was originally there. And that would mean that you would actually come round a corner and suddenly see the palace as a whole. So instead of approaching it and having a chat and finally getting here and being like, 2.5 miles later, you're not really interested anymore. You've got the wow factor as it kind of jumped out in front of you. And that was part of Vanbragh's plan. He was quite into the kind of hidden bit. So you possibly can't see here, but when the water, remember the River Glyme comes in from the far end. It's a very small stream that came round this corner and flowed through the centre archway of that bridge. So the water level wouldn't have been this high at the time, and they would have gone in through the side archways to access that. Now again, the first Duchess of Marlborough being a little bit money conscious. The other 3 sides are the parliamentary act that was passed to allow Queen Anne to hand his land to him, but also how it was going to go down through the generations in perpetuity. And when Sarah, the first Duchess, actually went over there to see what was going on, there were 33 rooms built within that bridge, well, or being built within the bridge, and that's when she said, hey, what are you doing? I don't want this. And they stopped the building just after that. And it says there was a large room for holding balls, there was a bathing place and a boathouse all within that structure.
Wow.
So,
You said there was a theatre.
yes, they were building rooms big enough for a theatre. It's pretty big, isn't it?